Hey everyone, what is up? Today we got a couple of interesting topics to talk about. First off, we got some new information about the opening of Super Nintendo World. If you haven't heard, Super Nintendo World is a brand new section coming to Universal Studios Japan, modeled after the three-dimensional Mario game Super Mario 3D World. The new theme park looks really good from the presentation, and we can tell from the images that we've seen from the above area that the trailer wasn't lying about how the park would look. Unfortunately, due to the ongoing pandemic, Super Nintendo World will not be opening summer of 2020, but possibly later this year in fall. But let's be honest, when fall rolls around, Universal will most likely postpone the opening again, because if you think about it, it's not just like a regular park reopening. This is the first time this new section is being shown off. They have to be very careful with the current situation. They don't want to open the park prematurely and have the virus outbreak in the new area, as it would be the first news about Super Nintendo World that would hit the media upon opening. So most likely, how quarantine is constantly being extended, Super Nintendo World may not open for quite some time. In other news, Square Enix plans to announce the titles they had lined up for E3 2020 in July and August. The original plan was to just make a separate event from E3 to unveil all their new games, but they weren't quite finished in time to have all the titles announced in a single event. So the plan is now to show off each title individually, and they said there will be several announced during July and August. Their wording suggests, however, that there are more titles that will be revealed during 2020. When asked about their plans for this year, they said they will be announcing new titles as the timing permits, and several will debut around July and August. Not that they only have plans to announce several titles during July and August. So we have a lot to look forward to in the near future and the rest of the year. Lastly, for today's video, we have some new information on Apex Legends for Nintendo Switch. As most of you know, during EA Play 2020, it was unveiled that Apex Legends would be on the Nintendo Switch fall of this year. Although, we didn't get to see any footage or early gameplay of the game. All we were told was that it's being ported over. GameSpot, however, talked to director Michael Higum, in which he said that although it's been a challenge, the game is looking really good and running very well. It's a lot of work, but it's coming along nicely. Okay. If I were to describe a game on the Switch, if it ran at 30 FPS, I would say it runs okay or it's alright. If it ran at 60 FPS, then I would say that the game runs very well. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but with all the time they've invested into the port and the remaining time left, I would say that there's a good chance the game will run above 30 frames. 45 I could also classify still as very well for the Nintendo Switch, and if you think about it, I'm pretty sure they talked about motion controls I don't quite remember. But motion controls, if you try to use it in 30 FPS, it does not look very well. It's super choppy. But at 60 FPS, it feels pretty much natural. If you ever played Splatoon, you know what I mean. Or people that play VR games, you know that you need high frame rate for the games to look right. So when they say it's looking really good and running very well, I would say this covers all aspects of the game, including the motion controls, which requires high frame rates. I know that sounds like a little bit too much use of the transitive property, but I think there's some logic to it. I mean, who knows how long they've been developing the port for? It's not like they said they've been working on it for a while and it's ready. No, it's coming in fall, and that's how you know that they're trying to get things done correctly. Take the Fortnite launch for the Switch. They probably ported it over in a couple of months. Fortnite hit its peak in late 2018 and early 2019, and the port for the Nintendo Switch released in summer of 2019. So I'm betting they spent very little time optimizing the game, and this can be seen by the huge stuttering issues, frame drops, and rendering problems in the first few months of its release. So I'm glad EA is taking the time to make sure that the experience you have on the Switch can be compared to the experience if you were to play it for, say, on an Xbox or PlayStation. Thank you guys for watching today's video. To stay up to date on the latest Nintendo news, click the handle called Ramen, and I'll see you guys in the next one.